Today I want to talk about the connection between the concepts cosmos and logos in Greek philosophical thinking. I put a post up on my blog exploring these ideas, and there was some pretty positive feedback, and it looked like there was interest in doing a video. So I thought this would be a good place to start with making some video content. When I was a kid, I would tell people that I wanted to be a cosmologist. I had read Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time, and I was enamored of the whole idea of trying to be an astrophysicist. Unfortunately, when I would tell people that I wanted to be a cosmologist, they would hear cosmetologist, and they'd look at me rather quizzically and ask me why I was interested in hairdressing and makeup and that kind of thing. It wasn't until I got to college and took Greek that I fully realized the link between those two words that sound similar. You see, the Greek verb kosmein is where we get our word cosmos from. Kosmein just means to arrange, and it can refer to arranging anything. It could refer to arranging the furniture in a room, or it can refer to combing your hair, that is, sort of arranging it from being tangled. It can refer to arranging the makeup and jewelry on your face. Hence, a kosmos, the arrangement, can be the final layout of the furniture in your room, or the particular set of makeup and jewelry that a woman might have on. But it can also refer at the loftiest levels to Plato's demiurge, arranging all the stars in the sky and all the elements of our whole universe. And hence, cosmos in that sense means the arrangement, the whole thing, the whole universe. We can get a better idea of the meaning of this word, cosmos, or arrangement, if we contrast the idea of an arrangement with that of a mere aggregate. An arrangement necessarily involves the ordering of different elements in meaningful relationship with one another. For example, in a painting, the elements, the eyes, the face, the hands, the lips, those are all related to each other in the total composition to form a meaningful artistic whole. Hence, a painting would count as a cosmos. By contrast, an aggregate is just a mere set of elements without any necessary relationship between them, although sometimes you can go hunt and find some relationship. For example, if I consider the set of this tape that I happen to have on my desk and the particular hydrogen atom that's right at the center of my heart and the third episode of some random TV show, let's say Breaking Bad, and the planet Venus. That would just be a mere aggregate. Now, it's a truism that all entities in the universe do have some relationship to each other. So if you really work hard at it, you can find some kind of relationship between the elements that I just listed. But still, that would be missing the point, because usually those relationships that you can find would not really account for that particular set as opposed to many, many others. And furthermore, it would just be an ad hoc explanation of the relationship between those elements. We can further understand the difference between an arrangement and an aggregate by stealing an insight from Aristotle. Aristotle, you see, insists that there's a certain ontological priority of the whole over its parts. That might be confusing because we tend to think of wholes as constructed of their parts, and hence the parts are ontologically prior. Nevertheless, Aristotle insists that insofar as we consider parts to be parts at all, they have to be parts of something. His example is a hand. You see, a hand is necessarily a part of a total organism. If I were to cut my hand off and throw it on the ground over there, we might look at that and be like, ew, yuck, a hand. But it wouldn't really be a hand anymore. It wouldn't have the function of a hand. What it means to be a hand is to be a part of a full total organism. And hence that the very essence of a hand is only in relation to the other body parts and ultimately to the whole body. Now, somebody with a more skeptical or reductivistic frame of mind will frequently look at the arrangements that I'm talking about, or the idea of cosmos, and try to find some kind of explanation for that meaningful ordering of elements into a whole by appealing to processes of mere chance or something like that. For example, imagine that we have 3 Scrabble pieces, O, G, and D. I put them into a bag, I shake them up, and I throw them out there on the table, and I read them off roughly left to right, and I see a D, and then an O, and then a G. Oh my goodness, it spells a word, dog. It's meaningful, it's a message. It must be the universe is conspiring to send me this message as an answer to some unknown question. But of course, the skeptic will point out that given the fact that there are only 3 Scrabble pieces, there are also only 6 different combinations. And 2 of those combinations, dog and God, spell meaningful words in English, while the other 4 do not. Hence, we have a relatively high 1 in 3 chance that we're going to get a meaningful word. So it's really not that surprising that I put the Scrabble pieces into the bag, throw them on the table, and get a meaningful word out of it. But this objection ignores the deeper point. I'm not arguing that every cosmos, every arrangement, necessarily has some sort of intelligent designer behind it, arranging all the pieces. I'm merely pointing out that the arrangement of the elements into a meaningful whole is a fact that needs to be accounted for. It's a real meaningful ontological fact. The fact that there is a meaningful arrangement at all depends on a host of preconditions that are frequently ignored in those kinds of thought experiments. For example, to get that word dog out at the end, you have to have such a thing as the English language. You have to have meaningful words that are spelled with letters. You have to have the Scrabble blocks that are inscribed with those letters. You have to have a process in the thought experiment whereby the Scrabble blocks are thrown onto the table and they come to rest relatively quickly, and we're supposed to read them off left to right. Hence, we can identify not only the arrangement of the Scrabble blocks over and above the 3 different Scrabble blocks, that is, the elements, but we can also identify the preconditions, or the source, the cause, the ground of that arrangement. And now that we've made that distinction between those 2 things, the arrangement itself and the cause of that arrangement, we're in a position to understand 2 different meanings of the Greek word logos. For now, we won't try to cover all the different things that logos can mean, but we can simply point out the connection between these 2 different senses of the word in different contexts. In the first place, logos can mean the arrangement itself. So we've got a set of elements arranged in a meaningful pattern, that is, a cosmos, and the logos of that cosmos could just refer to the arrangement, the ordering of the elements. For example, suppose that we have a right triangle with sides 3, 4, and 5. In Greek mathematics, they will frequently refer to the logos of the triangle, which is just the lengths 3, 4, and 5 in the formation of a right triangle. In this context, logos could easily be translated as ratio. However, logos can also mean the cause or the source, the ground of that arrangement. Hence, in other philosophical contexts, we could speak of the logos of a full-grown tree being contained already within the seed. The seed, of course, does not have the final arrangement of branches and leaves and fruit and whatnot, but it does have the principle of that arrangement in itself. Of course, we now know that that power of the seed is located in the DNA molecule, which encodes the information necessary to build the proteins, which build the cells, which ultimately result in that final arrangement of branches and leaves and fruit. So it might be helpful to think of logos along the analogy of DNA. So when we speak of the logos of any entity, any cosmos, any arrangement, you could think of that as its DNA, that fundamental principle that ultimately gives rise to its meaningful arrangement. Hopefully I've helped clarify the necessary connection between the concepts cosmos and logos in Greek thinking. Go check out the full blog post, and I'm interested in your thoughts and your feedback and your criticism, so drop them in the comments below. Until next time.